Alrighty, the third video for today, a revisit of the Crown Heights riots. A lot of folks have been talking, some folks have been talking about this in the media in general. And I thought I'd give my takes on this because I have done a couple videos talking about the Crown Heights riots. I think it's important to kind of display that, kind of talk about some facts here. So the fact is that Joseph Lifsch was a driver for Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson of the Chabad Lubavitch Hasidic movement, or probably Chabad. Sorry, I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just, basically this Joseph Lifsch guy was driving a station wagon, and he thought he had the right of way because, there were unmarked police cars that were driving this along, that were following this so that they could speed up there. He went a little bit too slow, so he wanted to catch up and sped up. There's no indication of the exact speed of the vehicle. Lifsch's vehicle struck a car being driven on Utica Avenue, veered onto the sidewalk, knocked a 600-pound stone building pillar down, and pinned two children against an iron gate covering the window on a first-floor apartment in a 4-story brick building. 7-year-old Gavin Cato, the son of Guyanese immigrants, was working on his bicycle chain while on the sidewalk near his apartment on President Street, died instantly. There's another girl who was also injured. She did live, though, which I believe was his cousin. So what happens? The immediate aftermath. Accounts differ as to the next sequence of events. After the collision, Lifsch said that the first thing he did was try to lift the car in order to free the two children beneath it. This Lifsch guy has a lot to answer for, and he's really the one that caused this. And he eventually left to flee to Israel, which proves a lot of anti-Semitism. I know that I've repeated this stuff before, but it's worth saying again. Members of the EMS unit who arrived on the scene about 3 minutes after the accident said that Lifsch was being beaten and pulled out of the station wagon by 3 or 4 men. Volunteer ambulance from Hatzolah. Hatzolah, of course, is the Jewish volunteer ambulance corps that exists primarily in New York City and in Los Angeles. I'm sure they exist all across the United States, but primarily those are the ones that you really think about. Arrived on the scene at about 8:23 p.m., followed by police and a city ambulance. The latter took Gavin Cato to Kings County Hospital, pronounced dead shortly thereafter. Volunteers from a second Hatzalah ambulance helped Angela Cato until a second city ambulance arrived and took her to the same hospital. 250 residents, mostly black teenagers, many of whom were shouting, "Jews, Jews, Jews." I'm not going to read every single bit of this, but yeah. The thing is that, there was, of course, the death of Yankel Rosenbaum, who was a student from the University of Melbourne in the United States conducting research on his doctorate. And he was killed by Limerick Nelson Jr., who stabbed him. Like I said, this is one of those things that it's a very nasty thing, The rioting did occur. There was a lot of, anti-Semitism, this and that, but there's a lot of elitism as well. Why is it that these folks get to, why is it that they can get to do what they wanted and get to, have their little insular communities where they can pretty much, for the most part, live as they want to, this and that, and have their own yeshivas, this and that. And of course, like I say, even, more secular Jews have talked about this, where these communities, they do not learn to speak English. They only speak Yiddish or Hebrew in some cases, probably mostly Yiddish. and they live in these backward societies, you know. But of course, like I say, I'm really trying not to appear anti-Semitic, but there's a lot of issues that go on. And then, of course, you find out that a lot of these folks, even people like, once again, more of a secular Jewish person, Max Blumenthal, has talked about, that there are Jews who come to collect rent and everything else like that, in black communities, isn't that? They're the ones that, the supers, being Jewish themselves and all this sort of thing. This is why you have, of course it's going to happen in New York City, like I say. But it's a very messy thing, to say the least. And I think that, the fact is that, we'll see that Mr. Joseph Lifsh fled to Israel after this, and he'll give the kind of standard sort of talking points where it's just like, they treated us this way. Look at the way the way I was treated in New York was the same way the Palestinians treat us now. And it's very much a victim mentality. And I think it goes to show the privilege that exists. It's something that a lot of folks don't like to talk about because they know how bad it looks. And they know to a point it proves some anti-Semitic canards, as they would say, but it kind of proves some of that to be true. And so they're kind of like, yeah, it's not good. So they don't really talk about it. People, for the most part, refuse to talk about it. Anywho, I hope y'all enjoyed that. So see you later, and goodbye.